Good day, everyone. This is Sir ARJIE LEYSON, one of the Matalinos teachers. Today, we will discuss our first lesson for the third quarter, that is the properties of quadrilaterals or the quadrilaterals. Now, let us define first what is a quadrilateral. A quadrilateral is a two-dimensional figure with four sides and four angles. Now, what do you mean by quadrilateral? The word part, quad means four, lateral means sides. Now look around you. Do you see any shape in your group that could be called quadrilaterals? Yes. So example. So you have your floor in your house. That is an example of quadrilateral. The front face of your house, that is called a quadrilateral. And even the front face of your oven or your refrigerator or your television you have there. So that is an example of a in a real world quadrilaterals. So we have here the biscuit, the table, no, the plain side of the table, walk street or the signage. So that's an example of quadrilaterals in the real world. So there are types of quadrilaterals, namely, there are five of them: square, rectangle, trapezoid, rhombus, and parallelogram. Now, all of these five, we will describe and discuss this. So let's proceed first to the square. So what is a square? So we have here the shape of the square. A square is a quadrilateral with four equal sides and four right angles. So that means all sides and all angles of the square is equal. A rectangle, so we have here the illustration of a rectangle. All rectangles, a rectangle is a quadrilateral with four right angles, and its opposite sides of the are parallel. So we have here all of the angles are right angles, and then the opposite sides of the rectangle are equal and parallel. So that means the upper side and the lower side that are they are equal and parallel, and then the left side and the right side, they're also equal and parallel to each other. So we do have a question, commonly questions in quadrilaterals. So is a square a rectangle? Rectangle, is it? So we need to remember that a rectangle is a quadrilateral with four right angles, and its opposite sides are equal and parallel, while the square is a quadrilateral with four equal sides and four right angles. So later on, so what do you think? Later on, we will discuss that. Is a rectangle a square? We need to remember that a rectangle is a quadrilateral with four right angles. Its opposite sides are equal and parallel. And the square is a quadrilateral with four equal sides and four right angles. Now, explain your thinking. Okay. Determination. A square can also be called a rectangle because it has four right angles and its opposite sides are equal and parallel. A rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square because it does not have equal sides. Okay, you need to remember a square can also be called a rectangle, but a rectangle cannot be called a square. Now let's proceed to the third quadrilateral. We have a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral that has exactly one pair of parallel sides. So we need to remember that parallel lines are lines that will never touch. They are equal distance apart at all points. So in this figure, in this trapezoid, where is it parallel side or parallel two sides? So we have here the upper and lower. So when you make an infinite line with those lines in the upper and lower, no, so that means If the lines will not touch or never touch, that means that is a parallel line. Now you look at the left side and right side of the figure. So when you draw an infinite line, you know, when you draw an infinite line, you are when you look at the illustration, no, the lines will intersect together. It will meet together. No, it will touch. So that means the left side and right side is not parallel. So to have an illustration, so we will draw here. You look at that. Infinite line, infinite line, infinite. Assuming, okay. And then this one also. You see, they will meet. So that means this two other sides, the left side and the right side, is not parallel to each other. Okay? Do you understand? Now, yes, very good. So, is this a trapezoid? Yes, it has one set of parallel sides. So, we have here the upper and lower part of the trapezoid, which is parallel sides. Well, the other two sides, now when you extend the line, so you will notice that the line or the line in the figure, the left and the right side, mag-intersect siya or mag-touch siya together. A rhombus. Now, a rhombus is a quadrilateral that has four sides and its opposite sides are parallel. So we have four equal sides here and the opposite sides are parallel to each other. So you look at this illustration. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has opposite sides that are equal and parallel. So which of the quadrilaterals we have seen a parallelogram? So is it a parallelogram? A parallelogram is, we need to remember that a parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has opposite sides that are equal and parallel. So we have a square. Is it a parallelogram or is it not? Yes, a square is, yes, a square is a parallelogram. Now next, we have a rectangle. Okay, we need to remember opposite sides are equal and parallel. A rectangle and then yes, a rectangle is a parallelogram. Next, we have a rhombus. I know. Next, we have trapezoid. A trapezoid, is it a parallelogram or not? So we need to remember that a quadrilateral, that parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has opposite sides are equal and parallel, while the trapezoid is only one parallel and parallel side, not, and also it is not equal. So that means it is not a parallelogram. A trapezoid is not a parallelogram. And then we have a rhombus. Is it a parallelogram or not? Yes, a rhombus is a parallelogram because it has equal sides and all parallel to each other. Parallel, opposite sides are parallel. So we have here a tree diagram of quadrilaterals. Now let's start. Let's explain this one. So we have four sides. A quadrilateral have four sides and four angles. We have two categories here. We have parallelogram and trapezoid. Now we have here in the trapezoid, we have, since trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides, that means they are different from other quadrilaterals. Since the other quadrilaterals has opposite sides are equal and parallel. So we have here parallelogram as opposite sides that have that are equal and parallel. Under that, we have a rectangle has four right angles and opposite sides are equal and parallel. And the rhombus has four equal sides and opposite sides are parallel. Then under rectangle and rhombus, we have a square has four equal sides and four right angles. So what conclusion can we draw from the graphic? So we can say a square can also be called a rhombus, a rectangle, parallelogram, and a quadrilateral. Since the description of the square can cover those rhombus, rectangle, parallelogram, and quadrilateral. Yes, you can call square a rhombus, rectangle, parallelogram, and quadrilateral. Then a rectangle can also be called parallelogram and quadrilateral. A rhombus can also be called parallelogram and quadrilateral. A parallelogram can be called quadrilateral, and trapezoid is a quadrilateral. So now let's proceed. Name the quadrilateral. What is the best name for it? What are the properties? Opposite sides are equal in length. You look at the figure. Opposite sides are parallel. So that is a parallelogram. Next, what are the properties in this illustration? One pair of the opposite sides are parallel. That is a trapezoid. What are the properties of this illustration? Four equal sides, four right angles. That is a square. Correct. This one, four right angles and opposite sides are equal. Opposite sides are parallel, so that is a rectangle. Correct. Four equal sides, opposite sides are equal. That is a rhombus. I think that's all for today's lesson. I hope that you've learned something. Thank you so much for listening, and please continue to subscribe and watch our videos in the Matalinis. And thank you and God bless. Bye-bye. Annyeong.